नाजरीन, कश्मीर लाइफ के साइंस टॉक्स के सीजन 3 में आपका खुश आमदीद। जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि ये आजकल की जो दुनिया है, ये आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, डीप मशीन लर्निंग और इन सारी चीज़ों की दुनिया है। तो इस बारे में मैथमेटिक्स का बड़ा रोल है। इस सिलसिले में आज हमने दावत दी है एक मैथमेटिशियन से, जिन्होंने आधी दुनिया तो देख ली है, आधी दुनिया देखनी बाकी है। इस वक्त एक स्टार्टअप में काम कर रही हैं। काफ़ी इनका कंट्रीब्यूशन रहा है, बहुत सारी जगहों पे पढ़ाया है और कई जगहों पे रिसर्च भी किया है। वी वेलकम डॉक्टर सादिया जहूर। डॉक्टर साहिबा, आपका खुशामदीद कश्मीर लाइफ के शो में।
शुक्रिया शुक्रिया
तो
मिस्टर।
शुरुआत इस बात से करेंगे कि ये जो हमारे यहाँ बचपन में मैथमेटिक्स पढ़ाते थे, वो वही अरिथमेटिक हुआ करता था, प्लस माइनस मल्टीप्लिकेशन डिवीजन एंड अ बिट ऑफ अलजेब्रा। बट सिंस दोज डेज व्हेन आई वाज इन क्लास, सो तब से मैथमेटिक्स तो बहुत आगे चल पड़ा है। इसके हॉरिजन्स कहाँ हैं, उसके गोल पोस्ट्स कहाँ हैं आजकल की दुनिया में?
तो मैथमेटिक्स एट द प्योर लेवल इज स्टिल वेरी स्लो। आप मानिए एक रूट लेवल पे काम होता है और जो अप्लाइड होता है वो ब्रांचेस एंड लीव्स पे है। सो व्हेनेवर वी डू रिसर्च on some problem, it takes like years for everyone to put the piece of the puzzle together, but it goes very abstract. तो अभी भी जो mathematics है, everyone needs that arithmetic and whatever, or it's just main thing is like the goal of mathematics. There are more problems than there are problem solvers. So we are very far to our goals yet. So the progress is very like a snail-paced progress because problems are so many, but minds who contribute to the research are not as many. So मैं कहूँगी अभी goal से बहुत दूर है, but and theoretical foundations are always slower than the applications. जैसे आप जो AI and everything you are seeing today, जो progress है, इसकी भी foundation ही अच्छे से नहीं बनी है. Like mathematical foundation is unknown. So by the time we can actually understand what is actually happening inside those black holes, it's already going to be way ahead in progress. Like physics. Physics was first you discover the application, gravity, then you design the mathematical tools, the language, what's happening behind it. But first was like observation, implementation. That comes, it's quicker in progress. But then when you get stuck on a problem, फिर आपको पता चलता है कि अब हमें इसको अंदर झांकना है. Then you need the actual tools because then 90%, 70%, 80% is not right. You need 100% accuracy, and which is why you need mathematical reasoning at that point. So I would say we are still very far.
लेकिन मैं ये जानना चाहूँगा कि आप हमारे नाजरीन को अपने बारे में बताएं। आपका जो सफ़र रहा नॉलेज का, श्रीनगर के मेलनसन से लेके ऑस्ट्रेलिया तक, और बीच में आप DRDO भी, टाटा भी, और आपने PhD कहीं और कर लिया। तो PhD पर खैर बात कर लेंगे, थोड़ी अपनी लाइफ के बारे में बता दें।
I was always very studious as a kid. Melanson Mehi, I was always very studious. I think many of my friends can vouch for that. And my inspiration was mainly my brother. So my elder brother also did mathematics, and he basically always was very driven by new thoughts, books, physics, mathematics, and he used to catch hold of me and force me to listen to some concepts. I didn't like mathematics initially, but हमारी फैमिली में भी है. मेरे डैड को भी बहुत अच्छा मैथ्स है, दादा का भी बहुत अच्छा मैथ्स था. So I was also like, and then I was after class 9, I was like, I love maths. I have to do maths. Didn't know where it's going to go ahead, but I just knew that to go with the flow that I find myself better at maths than anything else. So उसके बाद I went to St. Stephen's College for mathematics, and again I was doing really great, and I worked really hard, and I think I got a chance to basically apply for masters at Cambridge, which is obviously a dream. And mathematics course there is basically the hardest course in pure maths for the part 3. So there's where I got actually a little blow because everyone is smart. So it's a cream of the cream. So it is like you can't compare. There's always someone smarter than you. So it was a good experience overall to just learn from the environment. But I learned a lot of virtues because ऐसे माहौल में जो लोग काम करते हैं, they can't do it just because they are good at it, but they have a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment, a lot of organization, like how they basically organize themselves. So overall, I would say for the whole life, it was a very good experience about how people at that level think and work. So there is a whole lot that goes in the training. सिर्फ इतना ही नहीं. तो उसके बाद I was a bit thinking that I am average of the lot, because when you see yourself in Cambridge, everyone is a topper. So, but then when I came back in India, I did some more internships. I worked some time as a research assistant at TIFR, and I also worked some time at DRDO. So basically, I knew I liked number theory, but I didn't know which branch of number theory. So I did some in like applied number theory में हल्का काम किया DRDO पे with the government. And then I did some research in algebraic pure number theory in TIFR. And then I realized I really like algebraic number theory, so I should do a PhD. And because I didn't want to just go for a PhD because it's just the next step. I really wanted to sort out if I really want to commit to 4 years of my life to something, because it is a huge time if you see it. 4 years of your youth is a long time to commit to a problem. So my parents and brothers were always very supportive. They were like, yes, you should go and do the PhD. But during my PhD in research, I felt like it's getting too abstract at some point. But nevertheless, I feel like I'm proud that it is pure algebraic number theory is one of the hardest thing I've ever done. Like when I did my PhD, because nobody can understand it. Not even your PhD colleague can understand it, because everything gets so specific, so abstract. You are an expert in your field because there are barely any people who work on your problem. There are so less people. So there's no one to basically no one to talk to on a day-to-day basis about the problem. And it gets very isolated, that PhD research environment, especially in pure maths, because of how many people in the world are working on different problems and they're so specific. So uske baad, I basically got married and I moved to Australia. And I already knew that I was going somewhere, not for postdoc, but somewhere where I could still get that research, freedom for research, because it's very hard कि जब आप corporate में चले जाते हैं, वहाँ की problems वैसी नहीं होती जो research में होती है. Research में बहुत freedom होता है to think, to come up with solutions. So I like that. So right now, I was really interested in deep learning and AI, but I didn't want to go for programming. I wanted something like research where I could understand the mathematics in it, contribute what is underlying principles, why it's happening, an organization that can value it. That's why I think I got an opportunity here. As soon as I came to Australia, I went to a lot of meetups and a lot of conferences and everything. And I got in touch with the right people. And the startup mein aisa hota hai ki there's so much to do. So there's so much to learn. And as a person, I love, since childhood, I've been a studious learning person. So I'm happy to contribute where I can using these skills. And I'm day by day, I'm liking it even more. There's so much to do. There's so much to explore even in AI in terms of mathematics. And because research is happening every single day, to keep up with the research is the challenge.
Can you explain what was your PhD all about? Because you say it is very, very difficult to even communicate it. So if I ask you to communicate in a layman's language, how will you explain it? And is there some relevance of your PhD outcome to the market right now?
Okay. Yeah. So whenever we do pure mathematics research, so let me tell you a small story about G.H. Hardy. He's a very famous mathematician from Cambridge. So he basically was a really great number theorist. And in his, so he basically wrote a note in which he basically said that there is no use of number theory in what I do, but I do it because I'm intellectually curious. But his students and Alan Turing in the coming decade use mathematics to actually build Enigma, to crack the Enigma and basically build the computer, the first computer, and use number theory in it and prove to the world that in time, you don't even realize how useful the mathematics can be as it evolves. It is at different stages of evolving. So when I do my research, I don't see immediate applications of it, but it has to evolve. It is at the आप मानिए रूट के लेवल पे है, तो ब्रांचेस तक पहुंचने में एंड लीज तक पहुंचने में फिर उसको डेवलप करना है, तो मैथमेटिक्स रूट लेवल पे हो रहा है. So what my PhD is about, it's very hard to communicate, but I can give you some relevance of the objects. आप ये डोनट समझिए, जो आप खाते हैं ना, डोनट की शेप. तो आप मानिए ये डोनट अब हमारे स्पेस में नहीं, एक कॉम्प्लेक्स स्पेस में है. It's more broader space which we can't see. It's because 4-dimensional जगह पे आ जाता है, but it is there. Okay, तो ये कॉम्प्लेक्स स्पेस है एक, एंड उसको उस डोनट में हम को हल्के स्प्रिंकल्स हैं उस डोनट पे, ठीक है, कुछ स्प्रिंकल्स डाले हुए हैं, जैसे कि आप देखते हैं डोनट्स पे स्प्रिंकल्स होते हैं. अब मानिए वो स्प्रिंकल इंटीजर नंबर्स हैं, मतलब कि 1-2 हो सकते हैं, रैशनल हो सकते हैं, जैसे कि 1/2, 3/6 में रैशनल नंबर्स पड़े होंगे, ऐसे नंबर्स होते हैं. तो अब मुझे काउंट करने हैं कितने ऐसे हैं, और ऐसा लगता है कि ये इतनी मुश्किल प्रॉब्लम है इनको काउंट करना कि इनको काउंट करते करते आपको पता चलेगा कि कोई तरीका ही नहीं है मुझे काउंट करने के लिए, ठीक है. तो अब क्या होता है, बिकॉज हमें काउंट करने हैं और ये इतने हार्ड है काउंट करने के लिए, तो हम कोई एल्गोरिदम ढूंढते हैं कि चलिए किसी एल्गोरिदम से, मैथमेटिक्स का सारा एल्गोरिदम ही एक्चुअली बिल्ड करते हैं जिससे, एंड टिल डेट there is no algorithm which can give us for every such donut कितने sprinkles है उस पे. तो because of this problem, it is basically इसका जो harder version है, actually abstract version, this is one of the 7 claimed mathematical millennium prize problems. There are millions of dollars prize problems of this. It's called Burt and Swinton Dyer conjecture. BSD conjecture कहते हैं इसको. तो Andrew Wiles is a very famous mathematician. We call him Sir Andrew Wiles. So he's the most celebrated mathematician of the century. Oxford KV Chair of Person in Mathematics है, and he basically proved that there's a link between these donuts and some bizarre symmetrical objects. Just imagine very bizarre objects एक और side पे हैं, and they are called modular forms. तो उनने ये modular forms में इनको abstraction करके, abstraction करके एक और चीज से कनेक्ट किया. वो विजन जो उन्होंने ढूंढा, इट वाज अ ब्रेक थ्रू फॉर मैथमेटिक्स, कि ये डोनट एक्चुअली में ये एक और तरीके से रिप्रेजेंट हम कर सकते हैं. वहां पे जाके कुछ मैथ्स किया और बहुत सारा प्रोग्रेस हुआ. तो माय मेन थीसिस वाज अबाउट दीज मॉड्यूलर फॉर्म्स पे काम करने के लिए. मैंने इन मॉड्यूलर फॉर्म्स पे काम किया, इन बिजार ऑब्जेक्ट्स पे काम किया, एंड आई basically worked some congruences in modular form से, which अब मैं उसके deep नहीं जाऊंगी, but जो भी काम किया उससे जब हम वापस आते हैं, I give more evidence for this conjecture, numerical evidence for this conjecture, in support of this conjecture that this algorithm should exist. There is an algorithm which is a conjecture that this conjecture is true. I give evidence towards it, and ये इतना बड़ा conjecture है that people are already working assuming it's true. आगे की theory, अगर ये prove हो गया, there's so much theory, it's called Langland's program, जो कि already लोगों ने इसके आगे prove कर दी है. So it's going to be the next breakthrough if this conjecture is proved. So I also, in my contribution, gave evidence through doing mathematics at a very abstract level, and coming back to that connection, to connecting, I actually give more evidence that we can find the sprinkles on a donut. अब इसकी application की बात आई जो आपने पूछी. तो elliptic curves इन donuts को कहते हैं, जो donuts होते हैं. और ये elliptic curves जो मैंने DRDO में काम किया था, क्योंकि ये points इतने मुश्किल है ढूंढने, इनका यूज क्रिप्टोग्राफी में आता है, क्योंकि डिसिफर करना बहुत मुश्किल है ढूंढना कि कौन सा नेक्स्ट पॉइंट होगा. तो इसी वजह से जो पॉइंट्स होते हैं ये क्रिप्टोग्राफी में यूज होते हैं। अब अगर ये कंजक्चर प्रूव हो गया तो इनकी यूज क्रिप्टोग्राफी में खत्म हो जाएगी। So currently they are widely used because they don't have algorithm to find all these points. They are very widely used in cryptography. So ye cryptography is like one of the main applications of this object that we study in number theory, elliptical and modular forms. और जितनी research हो रही है, it's going to revive how we think about these things.
इस मुकाम से डीप मशीन लर्निंग की तरफ पहले ही इंक्लिनेशन था या बाद में हो गया?
So my brother was always telling me go towards AI, but I was very skeptical because I was like, आपने पहले ही मुझे maths की तरफ इतना interest कर दिया है. Now I feel scared that you're going to influence me because I really value his opinion in my life. So any big decision that I always make, I think he always has a big say in that because I really think he's way more knowledgeable, widely knowledgeable than me. So जब मैं PhD complete किया, I was back home. Chat GPT का time था. Recently मैंने PhD किया था, तो Chat GPT was like taking over everyone at that point. So I was back home. मैंने PhD के बाद कुछ time घर पे spend किया. मेरी शादी थी. Then I spent some time back home अपने parents के साथ भी. And with my brother, I had these long chats about AI and everything, where I explored this and everything. It was very fascinating the way he introduced everything to me. उसने जो models बनाए थे and everything, उसने मुझे वो दिखाए सारे and everything because he works inside the box. So he does not work very openly. So he usually communicates those ideas with me. So I got really interested, and as I saw, then I kept following इसकी जो research है. It was just buzzing. Every day something new was coming out. So when I came to Australia, I went to academic sectors, university में मैंने talks दी यहाँ पे and everything. But I kept also I got in touch with a professor in Sydney who is a mathematician, but he does mathematics for deep learning. So I wanted a mathematic perspective of someone who can basically communicate with me on the same ground with AI. And he's very, so he's basically working with DeepMind right now, the professor, on a mathematics research conjecture they're proving through deep learning. So I went in touch and he basically guided me through the process. He gave me some problems to get warmed up, how to think about it, and it worked very well. I could understand his language. He explained, जब आप इंजीनियरिंग किताब पढ़ते हैं और आप साइंस की किताब पढ़ते हैं और मैथमेटिक्स की किताब पढ़ते हैं, बहुत डिफरेंस होता है. मैथमेटिक्स में 1% 2% नहीं होता है, 100% एक्यूरेसी होनी चाहिए, लॉजिकल चीजें होनी चाहिए. सो आई रियली लाइक दैट प्रिसिजन जो वो जैसे वो सिखाते हैं, like precision, like there's no right left. You have to call A has to be called A, B has to be called B. Like there's nothing mixture नहीं है. Like कहीं चलो long type answer है, कुछ भी भर दो, वो नहीं कर सकते हैं. It should be very precise and accurate. So the way he actually introduced it, I really found it really interesting. जब मेरे own models started working, I started building some small mathematics models, deep learning models, and then my interest grew. So that's how I got interested.
What are you doing right now? What is your project? What is the target?
So currently what we are basically doing is, this is the AI startup. So आपने ChatGPT जो देखा ही है, large language models जैसे कि कैसे काम करते हैं. But they have been trained on a very wide general data. They are not basically specific. For example, आपने देखा ही हो कि maths के लिए अच्छे नहीं है, because they are not designed for maths. They are basically text completers.
Exactly.
So you give a text prompt and they complete the text. And there is a lot of algorithms running at the back of it. जैसे कि ChatGPT सब कहते हैं कि क्यों नहीं ये bias करता है, वो करता है, but actually जो इसके पीछे है, सारा ChatGPT के पीछे basically it's like the attention mechanism कहते हैं हम उसको. Attention mechanism basically हर word को ये एक, आप मानिए हर word जो होता है पहले sentence आप देते हैं. Like for example, I will give you my name is Adam is a sentence. तो ये sentence को सबसे पहले break करता है. ब्रेक करता है, उनको हम टोकन कहते हैं. माई नेम इज एडम. वर्ड भी कर सकता है, लेटर भी कर सकता है. सपोज वर्ड्स को कर देता है. सो माई नेम इज एडम, 4 वर्ड्स आ गए, तो इनको वो नंबर असाइन कर देता है एक एक. ChatGPT जितने भी इसके टोटल वर्ड्स हैं उनमें से इन वर्ड्स के कुछ आईडी हैं अपन, जैसे हमारे आईडी होते हैं एक जैसे कि आप मानिए आधार नंबर हमारा होता है, हर इंसान का एक आधार नंबर है इंडिया में, वैसे ही हर लेटर का एक आईडी है। सो ये जो आईडी है हर लेटर का, ये आईडी जो होता है वो इनपुट पे चला जाता है, ठीक है। ये आईडी की, हर आईडी का एक वेक्टर बनता है, और बहुत लंबा वेक्टर होता है जिसमें डिफरेंट डिफरेंट नंबर्स होते हैं, ठीक है। वो नंबर हम इनिशियलाइज करते हैं, जो सपोज मैन और किंग, ये दो अगर लेटर होते, ये दोनों के जो वेक्टर्स होते हैं स्पेस में, आप मानिए जहां ये रहते हैं नजदीक रहते हैं, तो ये ऐसे इनको प्लेस करता है कि जो लाइक लाइक होते हैं वो इकट्ठे रहते हैं। क्वीन वुमेन के नजदीक होगा, लेकिन किंग और क्वीन भी आपस में नजदीक होंगे, क्योंकि दे आर फ्रॉम जो ये हिरार्की है उसमें वो नजदीक होंगे। जैसे कि कैट किटन के पास होगी। सो इट प्लेसेस ऑल द वेक्टर्स ऑफ सिमिलर कॉन्टेक्स्ट एक एक जगह पे, लाइक मीनिंग एक एक जगह पे इनको प्लेस करता है एक स्पेस में, आप मानिए, तो नजदीक रहते हैं। तो वैसे इसको उसके बाद अटेंशन मैकेनिज्म लगता है, वो थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स है, जिससे ये आपस में एक दूसरे का कॉन्टेक्स्ट भी समझता है, एक दूसरे से बात करते हैं ये लेटर्स कि कौन सा ज्यादा रेलिवेंट है, ठीक है। तो उसके बाद ये सारा करके जो रेलेवेंस है ये आपका टेक्स्ट डिकोड करता है। अभी एनकोड हो गया, फिर टोकन आईडी जो आपने दिए थे उन नंबर्स को वापस वर्ड देता है और आपको फिर से देता है सेंटेंस कंप्लीट करके। तो अब अगर किसी ने इसको ट्रेन किया ऐसे डेटा पे जिसमें बायस था, जिसमें फीमेल होम मेकर के नजदीक थी, आप मानिए मम्मा ज्यादा कुक करती हैं, तो वैसे डेटा पे ट्रेन कर दिया, तो जो कुकिंग का है वो माँ के करीब आ गया स्पेस में। तो इसीलिए जब वो कंप्लीट करता है वो हमेशा बायस्ड रिजल्ट देता है, क्योंकि जो ट्रेनिंग डेटा है वो बायस्ड है। तो
एग्जैक्टली।
ऐसी चीजें होती हैं। तो ये टेक्स्ट कंप्लीट है बेसिकली, जो भी इसको आपने फीड किया ट्रेन किया जिसपे, उसका टेक्स्ट कंप्लीट करता है। अब जो हमारा काम है to domain specific. So the startup I'm working for is basically more about how do we train it on finance model. Like, so it's a finance industry. So we want a chat GPT, but a chat GPT kind of expert in finance. So we are taking open source models, जैसे कि there are Falcon है, Llama है, there are so many open source large language models. Chat GPT एक नहीं है. Chat GPT is not open source. That means we don't know how they made it completely. So there are many open source models, जैसे कि Llama Meta Facebook ने रिलीज किया है, Falcon भी रिलीज्ड है. So ये they are very strong big models, but they are not as good as ChatGPT. So फाइन ट्यूनिंग क्या प्रोसेस होता है? फाइन ट्यूनिंग होता है कि हम एक बेस मॉडल लेते हैं और एक नया डेटा सेट लेते हैं, और आप मानिए इस मॉडल को हम लास्ट लेयर खोल देते हैं। आप मानिए इस बॉक्स को खोलते हैं, एक लेयर इसमें से निकाल के अपना डेटा भर के उसको फिर से ट्रेन करते हैं। जब उसको फिर से ट्रेन किया, वो पुराना जैसा तो नहीं रहता है, लेकिन जिस ट्रेनिंग डेटा पे हम ट्रेन करते हैं उस पर एक्सपर्ट हो जाता है। तो फिर आप मानिए जैसे कि अगर हमने फाइनेंस डेटा पे ट्रेन कर दिया तो ये फाइनेंस एक्सपर्ट हो जाएगा। तो कल को आप इसको अगर फाइनेंस के बारे में कुछ भी पूछेंगे जो चैट जीपीटी को पता नहीं होगा, लेकिन इसको पता होगा।
बताओ।
तो ये फाइन ट्यूनिंग है। बट इसके लिए जरूरी है कि आपको पूरा पता हो एलएलएम अंदर से कैसे काम करता है, द ब्लैक बॉक्स। इसमें बहुत हाइपर पैरामीटर्स होते हैं, मतलब कि वो चीजें जो कि हिट एंड ट्रायल से हमें पता है अभी। तो वो हिट एंड ट्रायल गलत हो गया तो इट टेक्स वीक्स टू फाइन ट्यून अ मॉडल, इट टेक्स so many resources, so expensive to fine tune a model. So we cannot like just take a risk. We have to evaluate every single thing in advance. तो ये इसके रिस्क आते हैं, तो इसीलिए रिसर्च फैक्टर बहुत कॉमन होता है। और यहाँ पे मैं आपको एक चीज बताऊंगी कि ये हाइपर पैरामीटर्स हमें इसलिए नहीं पता है क्योंकि देयर इज नॉट अ मैथमेटिकल फाउंडेशन फॉर द field. If there was a mathematical foundation for the field, these hyper parameters guess नहीं करते जो पेपर्स में है. You would know why is this happening. क्योंकि एक्चुअली क्या होता है, जब ये ट्रेन करते हैं मॉडल को तो एक लॉस फंक्शन होता है। आप मानिए एक बोल जैसे ऊपर नीचे बोल जैसे ऐसे एक मैप बनता है फंक्शन जिसका बोल होता है, सबसे गहरा पॉइंट होता है। आप मानिए गड्ढा जैसे होता है गहरा पॉइंट, तो हमें ढूंढना है सबसे गहरा पॉइंट कहाँ पे है।
एग्जैक्टली।
क्योंकि जब गहरा पॉइंट होगा जो लॉस का सबसे मिनिमम वैल्यू होगा, इसका मतलब कि जितना भी हमने ट्रेनिंग डेटा दिया उस पे ये लॉस फंक्शन जितना उसका लॉस 0 हो गया, मतलब कि ये पूरा अच्छे से ट्रेन हो गया, मतलब लॉस कुछ भी नहीं है, अब पूरा अच्छे से ट्रेन हो गया है। तो वो चीज हमें एश्योर करनी होती है, बट इसमें वी डोंट अंडरस्टैंड दिस लैंडस्केप very well mathematically. So that is the problem, that it becomes so expensive to train the model, because we can't get it wrong. If it's wrong, we lose all money, we lose all the times, because training of chat GPT kind of things like all LLMs, it takes weeks, 53 weeks, 60 weeks. And on top of that, every hour they must be costing them 3,000 like US dollars, or it's very expensive,
Very expensive.
massively expensive. So right now the project we are I'm working as, so I'm doing research for this company. So my thing is to basically come with the as efficient hyperparameter research techniques for them to implement. So that is what I'm researching. So I basically read research papers, come up with techniques, see how they can implement it in theory, so that then they pass it on to the company so that they can implement those things.
So how long it is going to take finally?
Inshallah soon. Inshallah soon. It doesn't take long, when you all sit together in the team. If you get things right, obviously the first shot is not going to be the best shot, but the main time that it will take will be the training. The training को अच्छे खासे महीने लग जाते हैं to train it, and the code keeps running for months, so you see how your model is doing over months, every morning and everything. So it needs a lot of patience as well. कि आपने अब इतना किया है, so let it train. But inshallah जब होगा तो आपको जरूर खबर कर देंगे, like we will be able to see it.
There is one question जो I'm curious about it. Since you said कि आपके वालिद साहब भी मैथमेटिक्स में इंटरेस्टेड थे, और आपके भाई भी आपके एक्चुअली मेंटोर और गाइड भी हैं. You are inheriting, you are taking mathematics to the next generation, and is your family now a completely mathematical family?
My husband is a software engineer as well, so not very far from this field. So it's very nice that I can talk to him about these things every day. So there's not that. My mom, I won't say it's the complete family. My mom hates mathematics. My mother hates mathematics, and she thinks all the problems in the family are because we keep doing mathematics. But मेरे दादाजी का भी, he was not a mathematician, but उनका जो mental maths था, like वो orally कुछ भी कर सकते थे. Newspaper के sides पे, wherever he finds, he would do his calculations and everything. He was very good at mental maths. I'm not very good with mental maths. I'm good with abstract maths. So मैं ये कहूँगी कि for example, आप एक चीज प्रूव करेंगे एक बास्केट के लिए, फिर आप प्रूव करेंगे एक और बास्केट के लिए, फिर आप करेंगे तीसरी बास्केट के लिए, चाहे आपके से 50 बास्केट्स हैं. एज अ मैथमेटिशियन, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट मैथमेटिशियन, मेरा काम है, जब आप कहते हैं नया मैथ्स का डेवलप हुआ है, मैं इन 50 को अलग से नहीं देखती. मैं कहती क्यों ना कोई भी बास्केट ले और मैं एक थ्योरम सारी बास्केट्स के लिए प्रूव कर दूं, जो फिर किसी भी एग्जाम्पल पे आप यूज कर सकते हैं.
Exactly.
तो वो दैट इज कॉल्ड द पावर ऑफ एब्स्ट्रैक्शन इन मैथमेटिक्स. तो एक एब्स्ट्रैक्ट मैथमेटिशियन, प्योर मैथमेटिशियन होता है, वो कहता है मैं नहीं करना चाहता हूँ 2 + 2 = 4 और 3 + 2 = 5. I want to do A + B = C. I want to prove this for all AB.
Exactly.
I would design an algorithm. So basically hit all, like kill all, like कहते हैं ना कि एक पत्थर से 2 निशाने. ये आप मानिए सारा, you want to just sweep all the solutions in one go. So this is very powerful. Sometimes, for example, the theorems that I proved in my PhD, जो मैंने theorem prove की, अगर आप उसको एक एक example करके करना चाहें, मैंने एक example दिया था, 6 महीने लगे, और it was a book of Fourier coefficients online, super computer use करना पड़ा, तब जाके एक insight मिली, एक example की. So it is impossible in theory, in practice, to actually prove that example by example, even for one example. But जब abstraction पे कर दिया, you could prove it for all in a theorem. So we don't realize it in day-to-day life, but abstraction in pure mathematics can prove sometimes wonders which are not computationally possible for us in real world.
So I would like to ask you कि ये जो मैथमेटिक्स है और ये जो कंप्यूटर की नई तरह, आईटी की नई तरक्कियां हैं, डीप मशीन लर्निंग है, वर्चुअल रियलिटी है, डीप मशीन लर्निंग है, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, ये सारी चीज़ें जो ड्राइव कर रही हैं आज की इकानमी, ये कितना चलेगा ये मुझे भी पता नहीं है, एंड आई डोंट थिंक एनीबॉडी कैन फोरसी कि ये कहाँ तक ले जाएगा इंसान को। इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन 4 है, ये कहाँ ठहरेगा, इसके गोल पोस्ट्स क्या हैं अब?
At some time, we all are scared that it was going to take all the jobs
यस,
because as a human race, we have been always investing in our intellect, and so far we haven't been replaced in terms of our intelligence. So it's replacing lots of jobs in terms of intelligence, but the main thing is the progress so far is because something worked. There was a paper and it seemed to work. It was a good idea, very simple idea, and it worked. But Abhi, there are some factors which are going to limit it. One, there's going to be a time where we don't know how to understand the black box, which is the one of the, but it's not going to stop as much as the computational power the compute available. So, but the main thing is the quantum computing, which is also making progress. So that is going to be another revolution in the coming decade. Where I see with if we have enough computational power, it can go very fast, very far. Where I see that we are not realizing how many jobs are going to get affected if computers and machines take over. तो आप माने एक और किस्म की बेरोजगारी इसका ये है. So we have to keep humans involved because as humans we can't only be dependent on machines. So there are many jobs which are going to go, but there are so many jobs right now which are created. But who knows tomorrow that even this intelligence it develops to the stage that even, for example, it does other things which people think we are safe. अभी ये हमारे काम नहीं कर रहा है. जैसे आप देखिए आज कोड कितना अच्छा जनरेट कर रहा है, like all this AI and everything. But as far as a mathematician is considered, it's a very costly. Like for example, even to prove conjectures and uh, theorems for a machine, it takes years. It takes a year after training. I mean, it gets trained, but to get a machine to discover something unknown is highly costly and highly time consuming. So it is something which is going to impact a lot of careers, but it's not still, I would see, हमें ऐसा लगता है अब तो machine सब कुछ, it's not there. There's hope for humans. We need humans. It's very hyped right now because आप मानिए जब भी कोई breakthrough होता है उसके लिए सबको चैट जीपीटी क्यों इतना पॉपुलर है. ऐसे एडवांसेस बहुत होते हैं क्योंकि ये इनने ऐसा यूजर इंटरफेस कर दिया कि आम इंसान को समझ में आ गया. जब आम इंसान ने इसकी पावर देखी, इट गॉट हाइप्ड. वरना आप माने अगर मैंने भी कुछ प्रूव किया या किसी और ने मैथ्स में किया, वो आपको हाइप नहीं लगेगा क्योंकि किसी ने आप तक वो लाया नहीं समझाने के लिए कि क्या हुआ. But this is because they created a user interface where everyone can access it. सब लोग कहते हैं तो जादू है. But there's a small mechanism working at the end of it. और इसलिए possible हुआ क्योंकि इनके पास इतना सारा data था. So I personally feel like there's a lot to do. Yes, it is something amazing that has come up for normal humans, but it is not the end of the world. There are much more difficult things that happen every single day, but go unnoticed. So I would just tell people to just not think it is something like magic, to try to understand it. It's not very fancy technology. People can understand it. There's people don't want people to understand it, so they just keep it in a black box. So go and understand it. It's not something uncommon, and then you will realize that it's not something जैसे कि सारी दुनिया अब खत्म हो गई है and AI has advanced so much. We are still very far from what you call general intelligence, AGI, general intelligence, which is a goal. If you see all these big companies, all of them are working on something called artificial general intelligence, AGI, basically to have a machine which can be very much a human. So ये सारे models जो हैं, they are there because they're trying to mimic the human brain, which we don't understand till date properly. So it's very difficult to mimic it. And the thing is, there are limitations to even human brain, so which will always be captured in terms of a machine as well, because we don't have the compute power at the moment. हमारे पास उतना compute power है नहीं, computational efficiency that we can do wonders with it. But if we have some other computational power, quantum computing and everything, which is surpassing the human brain, then it's coming up. It's still undiscovered, what's coming up. But right now, I would say we are making progress, but we should not be scared. अभी ऐसा मौका नहीं आया है कि that we should be very scared about it.
The last thing I wish to ask you is that in Kashmir, a very small place, given the demography, बहुत सारे लोग कंप्यूटर्स पढ़ रहे हैं, आईटी पढ़ रहे हैं, आईटी के डिफरेंट कोर्सेज में जाते हैं, but there is not lot of interest in mathematics, and nobody knows that this जो मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं, जो आईटी है, आज का ज़माना है, उसमें एक बैलेंस की ज़रूरत है मैथमेटिक्स और साइंसेज में. तो क्या करें उसका, how to make mathematics popular in Kashmir?
I think main thing is basically to hit the schools because it really impacts which subjects you are taught in school, which determine what you're interested in later. So, bachpan se hi, everyone tells you maths is like difficult, or the way it's taught is not taught in a very rigorous way, I would say. Like, for example, I had good maths teachers, but my main interest grew because of my brother. Because he did not show me what syllabus wants. He showed me, gave me insight, like of things that surprise me, that fascinate me at that age, which fascinate you. So I think to have a right guide, first of all, it makes a huge difference because machines cannot communicate with young students. Child psychology is a thing. You have to build that child psychology around mathematics. And I would say that as a woman, it's always said that it's not your subject in Kashmir or anywhere else. It's very intimidating. We don't have enough role models because आप देखिए कितनी ही females को field medals मिलता है. अभी दूसरी को मिला है, एक मिर्जा खानी थी, अभी एक और one Polish, another woman who has got a field medal. So they're not role models. So लड़कियां सोचती हैं कि yes, mathematics career तो है नहीं हमारे लिए. They're not role models. So there's nothing to look up and inspire, get inspired because you always have an inspiration figure in front of you. So if you don't have the right support and you don't have inspiration, the wo problem hai. So I think we have to encourage them that they could be the first. If everyone says that they could be the first ones who could be the role models for many. और एक और मुझे लगता है कि इंजीनियरिंग और डॉक्टरी जो ये हमारा कॉन्सेप्ट है हमारी सोसाइटी में लाइक प्रोफेशनल करियर एंड स्टेबल करियर्स आई थिंक इट नीड्स अ चेंज ऑफ माइंडसेट we have to कभी-कभी बहुत जगह पेरेंट्स भी फोर्स कर देते हैं because they're still with the mindset that कि डॉक्टर इंजीनियर को ही होना चाहिए like you have a better future because it's getting saturated. This field is getting too saturated and the thing is people have the degrees and still don't have the jobs and satisfaction they want. So there are fields like mathematics and AI which people I understand why they don't pursue it is because you have to leave your place because for example I wanted to study mathematics this time in my mathematics ki wahan pe undergrad bhi nahi tha honors mathematics I had no option then to leave Kashmir and pursue mathematics as a career because there are not enough opportunities if I do mathematics main itna karungi masters kiya ye kiya there's no job satisfaction at the end of the day because you're not like academia is not what do you say well paid so आपका जितना education में जाएगा वो आपको कभी वापस नहीं आएगा so there's a give and take also so I think there are many factors overall हमारी society में जो which are affecting it so I think मुझे तो अपनी जगह लगता है at least we Kashmiris have very well off families good industrialists good people who can basically create scholarships for our students छोटा-छोटा contribution में I never see this thing as a kid if I want to pursue every company बाहर हर जगह छोटा-छोटा initiative लेते हैं I don't understand why our governments or why our private sector does not start small initiatives to basically help like say people who pursue math we will sponsor you in collective small budgets because it's not much जितना शादियों पे spend करते हैं अगर उसका एक 1/5 ही कोई contribute कर दे towards education, I think it can make a huge because it is very expensive to get a very good research education abroad or anywhere, which is required skill set to basically pursue this. So I think even India has very good institutions, but to get people to motivate them, you need to set up that environment both mentally and financially for the kids to basically pursue it so that they don't feel like the parents don't feel like basically they are pursuing a career which has no returns. पूरा एक mindset change करना. It is going to take time. That
Yes.
mindset is going to take time.
डॉक्टर सादिया, वी आर सो ग्रेटफुल कि आपने इतना टाइम निकाला हमारे लिए, एंड विल बी, कोई बहाना मिल जाए आने वाले दिनों में फिर हम बात कर लेंगे. हो सकता है कि जब आपकी लैब में, जब आपके स्टार्टअप में आपका प्रोजेक्ट मुकम्मल हो जाए, तब हम आपको फिर तकलीफ दे देंगे बात करने के लिए. तब तक के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.
Thank you so much, Masood ji. Thank you so much.